Welcome to Brand OTC, where we answer your branding questions with a full over the counter product. Now, today's product is called Contentol, which helps you align your branded content with your identity. So, if you're struggling with off brand messaging, weak engagement, and loss of audience interest, this is the episode for you. Well, hello, my name is Cynthia Kita, and I am your brand strategist and educator here at the Design Firmacy. And today's question is, how do I create branded content that aligns with my identity? All right, y'all. I mean, they say content is king, right? But is it really king if it's not optimized to best represent your brand? Obviously not, right? So the first thing you need to focus on is clarity. Now, having a clear strategy can help you determine one, the type of content you post, two, the pillars or the topics that you should post about, three, the audience that's meant to consume your content, four, their desires, problems, and frustrations, five, the voice you speak to them with, six, so much more than that, right? That's enough to even brood over. But having clarity and a clear strategy really sets the tone for every single thing that you do within your business, and it even goes all the way down into your content and beyond that. So, I do have a shameless plug for you. If you haven't already checked your brand vitals with our brand vitals assessment, what exactly are you waiting for? I mean, stop wasting your time doing the busy work when you can do more focused work that actually moves the needle for your brand. Now, the Brand Vitals assessment helps you identify the specific areas of your brand that need some work. And we cover 9 core areas that you want to focus on when building a brand. So stay tuned for just a moment and learn more about the Brand Vitals assessment. And I'll be right back so that we can talk more about your content. You're doing all the things: posting content, updating your website, running ads, tweaking your offers, but still wondering, why isn't this working? Truth is, you might be focusing on areas that look productive but aren't actually moving the needle. The Brand Vitals assessment helps you stop guessing and start targeting. It's like a wellness checkup, but for your brand. You'll gain crystal clear insight into the 9 essential areas every brand needs to thrive. No fluff, no filler, just facts about where your brand stands and what needs your focus. Because clarity is the first step to real momentum. And when you know where to focus, you start to see progress, not just activity. Get out of busy work. Get into brand building that actually works. Take the Brand Vitals assessment now. All right, so don't forget to take the assessment. Once again, the link will be down below. Now, if you've already taken it, do not hesitate to book your brand detox, where we analyze your results, break down what's not working, and then rebuild your strategy with actionable steps. Now, this is one-on-one work. So we are focused just on you in each of our sessions. So you don't want to miss out on that, especially if you know what your brand score is and the areas in which you need to improve. All right. So let's get back to the topic. So, how do I create branded content that aligns with my identity? Now, your identity covers different facets. So you have your brand persona, right, which encompasses your personality, your voice, and the tone with which you speak. And then you also have your visual identity as well, which covers the visual specifically. Now, your entire brand strategy helps to build an overall identity. I mean, you have to see branding as you building an invisible representative of your business. And so see or view branding as a person that you're just configuring, like you're putting their eyes together or their eye color, whether they have long lashes, whether it has brown skin or pink skin or purple skin, what kind of clothing does this representative wear? You're building a person, a personality. All right. And so, I'll be writing a book about this. Um, let's give it a couple of months, but I'm writing a book on all of this, and it'll help you. identify, how to configure your brand strategy and personifying your brand so that it speaks for you when you're not in the room. So that's just another plug, another plug. But again, your identity covers a variety of things. So we're just going to focus mainly on your voice and then the visuals. So when it comes specifically to your voice, I actually did an entire video on that. I'll either attach that video probably in a box here on YouTube or at the end of the video. And if I forget to do that for some reason, it'll be down in the link in the description. All right, so that you guys don't miss out on that. But I did do a video on that describing how exactly to configure your brand voice. And I also created a tool for you guys to use called the Brand Voice Guide. So you'll see it on the screen now, the Brand Voice Guide. So excuse me. It helps you to identify, how you want to speak, and it also gives you instructions on how to configure that voice across different mediums of communication that you'll use. So, the voice that you use to speak on social media may be different from how you send an email to your audience, or on promotional materials, it'll be different from what you put on a business card. So, although it's the same voice, the tone or the language will change a bit here and there. And this voice guide, brand voice guide, helps you to have that all in one place so that you can pass it along around your team and everyone can remain consistent in how your brand's voice is represented. So you don't want to miss out on that. I actually want to show you a bit of our website. So if you've never visited our website, please do. It is thedesignfirmacy.com, or you can even try designfirmacy.com. This is our homepage. And if you just happen to scroll down a little bit more, you'll see some of the products that we've configured for your benefit. So you'll see the brand vitals assessment here. Please note that this is the pricing as of the time that this video was recorded. So if the pricing changes for whatever reason, we are not guaranteeing the price that is currently on your screen. Whatever the price is when you visit the store is the price. All right, so just wanted to make note of that. So you have the brand vitals assessment, which you should do that right after you watch this video. Then you have access here to the brand voice guide. We also have a brand attraction toolkit as well. And then um, I'll actually start talking about the brand style guide. So we have two versions of the brand style guide here, which you can see in the thumbnails. They're two different designs, but they do the exact same thing. And then if you guys missed our to brand or not to brand challenge, you can purchase the replay there. It was a dope, amazing challenge. We have a lot of reviews from it. So that's something that you definitely want to tap into if you missed it. I believe it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours each day, and that's 3 days. So it's definitely a lot of content for you to build your business from. So definitely grab that. All right. So when it comes to your voice guide, make sure you grab that workbook and get to work on it. Clarify how you want your brand to sound, the voice box that it's going to have when you're building this person. So when it comes to visuals, I'm gonna spend a little bit more time here when it comes to visuals. When it comes to visuals, you definitely want to have some form of a brand style guide, because just like the voice guide, it allows you to be consistent and to have the information in one place for everyone to access and follow. And so I'm gonna actually show you um, what the brand style guide looks like via Canva. So again, here's the thumbnail, one of the thumbnails for the brand style guide. You see the template, but then you see how the template was also used right behind it. And then this is another version of that. So let's take a closer look. Now, in a one-page view, this is the entirety of the document, but we're going to zoom in and scroll. So when you have a business or when you're building your brand, You do not want to settle with just one logo. I know most folks just go for that main logo that everyone is going to see and then neglect the fact that you need variations. Now, the important factor about that is your logo is not going to look good in every setting with just one type. And that's where the variations come in because it allows you to manipulate the logo in a way where it is best represented on a variety of mediums and a variety of spaces. If you have a logo that takes up a lot of horizontal space, you may opt for a secondary logo that takes up more vertical space. Because, for example, if you have a website header and you have a vertical logo, that's not really going to show so well. And so you would want to have a logo that takes up more horizontal space, excuse me, or a brand mark, right? But that really depends on the strategy of your particular business and brand. Now, when you get on social media, you're not going to see that full horizontal or vertical logo in your profile photo, right? Because it's just a small circle or a small square, a small space. So you want to make sure that you have a brand mark or an icon that represents your brand. That way people can identify you. And so, you know, having those variations are extremely important. Now, you definitely want to have your color palette, which you identify the different colors that your brand is going to utilize. You could also make rules about that and say, okay, these specific colors are going to be used more often than the other colors, so on and so forth. You get to decide how things are used based on how your audience is going to receive it. Then you have your typography, which most of you know as your font. So you have your heading, your subheading, your body, and some people have an accent or display. You don't want to have too many different fonts. Something you can do is um, most times, or for a lot of people, your subheading font can be the same as your body font, but then a different thickness. So it could be like a bold, whereas your body font or text is going to be like a regular or normal. And then you have your brand assets, so your patterns, your icons, symbols, all of those things. And then applications are pictures of how your brand assets are used. Then you have photography inspiration, and at the bottom, you have space to further explain how these elements can be used. You can explain your voice, your personality, your audience, or use that space for whatever you believe is important or most important for your brand. Now, I know it's a blank slate, so I actually have one filled out for you guys. This is a faux brand that I created a couple years back called Hangover. It's meant to provide mock drinks like mocktails or mock wine, just so that everybody can have a fun experience without feeling like they cannot partake, in the alcohol part of things, right? So I designed this logo suite or this entire brand essentially. So you have the primary logo there, then you have the secondary and your brand mark. Then you have the color palette, which has lots of grays, um, and darker shades, and then you have the pink, which a pale pink, which allows it to pop out a little bit. It's more so, how do I describe it? Like a metallic kind of color, like that's the purpose of it. So, you go to typography, you see all of that there, and then you see the brand pattern. So you'll see you see like the metallic look of it, because that's the design on the cans, the design on the wine. And so it's not just that pale pink, but it does have a metallic edge to the pattern portion of it. Now the pattern and the different flavors that are sold or faux sold include these. Had to take a sip of water, sorry. Still recovering. Um, so these icons and symbols here kind of represent the different flavors that the brand has. So it's just a fun twist that I kind of put on things. We could actually zoom in so you guys could see a little bit more. So I don't know how to pronounce all these different types of wines, right? But we have the Vino Santo, the Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon. So you'll notice that in each of these flavors or types of wines or faux wines, you'll see that no is capitalized. And that's part of the brand architecture, where we're still emphasizing that there's no alcohol, but you're still getting great taste and the experience of what it's like to have a wine. So that's the reason why it doesn't say Cabernet, it says Cabernet, or Pinot, so, that is intentional for this specific brand. So, some of the canned options are brain power and, beneath the title of the drink, it tells you what is actually in it. So brain power is an espresso martini. Fire Me Up is black currant lime. Let me try to zoom in a little bit more. Mint, jalapeno, agave, healthy pockets is coconut, cucumber, lime, and mint. Looking good is lemongrass, um, lemon, jasmine tea, and lychee, so on and so forth, right? So this is the brand that we created. Now, if we go back to the additional wines, we have instead of Chardonnay, you have Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, and Moscato. So like instead of Moscato, it's Moscato. So and that's the whites, and then the other side were the reds, if you didn't notice that. But yeah, just a fun side note of, our brand that we worked on. Sorry. So then the photography inspiration, it's still the same winery concept and, still elevated and posh. It just remove the alcohol really. And so down here we just kind of left it alone, but you would have the opportunity to explain more about the brand, the voice. If you get the voice guide, you won't have to say too much about the voice because everything will be in the voice guide. But you could offer additional information here. All right, so the idea is to create some branded content and to make sure that it aligns with our brand. So um, I believe I did some designs for this particular brand. That's if I can find it. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't delete it. Hmm. Oh, let me just go to projects. All right, that's not it. That's not it either. Oh, here we go. Found it. All right, so let's expand this. So I had copied the um the color palette from the brand style guide and put it there because when you do that, it actually just allows you to pick the colors um like well, if you do a picture, it allows you to pick the colors off of a picture. But if you just do the colored boxes, it actually just puts the colors there for you. But even before I get into that, I did want to show you guys um the brand kits here in Canva. So if you don't have Canva, um you've got to get on board. You've got to get Canva Pro. I do have an affiliate link for you guys, which I'll put on the screen. Um, it is an amazing graphic design tool and even goes beyond graphic design for anyone who's not even a designer. And so it is just an amazing tool that you can use to create some graphics, to create documents, to even at this point, you can do a little bit of coding. You can create some AI images. You can do all sorts of amazing stuff for your business um, with Canva Pro. So I'll again put the link on the screen for you guys. It is an affiliate link, and if you use it, I appreciate it very much. It does not affect the type of discount that you get. So I believe it gives you a 30-day free trial of Canva Pro, and then you can go ahead and handle your own payments from there. So when it comes to the brand kits, the brand style guide is one form of creating consistency. But for some of you who don't have a team plan on Canva, um, you can just send that document around, right? But if you are creating your stuff, your designs for yourself, you definitely want to use the brand kit. So this is one of the brands I have for my personal brand, Faithful Foundations, that I started a little bit of like a Instagram podcast type of thing. So you'll see that I've translated all of my colors. It's a lot of colors. But I put all the colors here. You would literally just click on it, add the color, or you can use the eyedropper tool to pick a color from somewhere that's on the screen or in a picture or whatever it may be. You can actually put in your fonts, so your title font, subtitle heading, subheading, all that stuff. You could just literally click on it and select the font, or you can upload your own fonts because sometimes when you have a specific brand, some of the fonts may not be available here in Canva and may be available elsewhere. So always make sure you have your font files just in the event that they're no longer available somewhere, wherever. So want to do that, you can add your brand voice. So the great thing about this is that because you have your brand voice guide, you're going to know exactly what to put in this section. So it tells you in the instructions, describe your brand's unique personality and how you communicate with your audience. Your voice is an important way to attract people to your brand, create connections, and build trust with them. For example, our voice is confident, casual, and friendly. Now, the brand voice guide is going to help you identify a lot more than just those three adjectives, right? But it'll give you enough to then go in and put in that 500 characters for Canva AI to then help you with your voice and your copy and all of that stuff. So it's a great tool that you can use. Now you could also add some photos here if you remember back to the photo inspiration or inspiration section of the brand style guide. You can put your photos in this section. You could go down to your graphics and your icons, which you could also add there. And then you also have the opportunity to add some charts and chart colors. Before Canva did their update, if you chose one color, it would kind of assume the rest of the colors of the chart, but now you can actually identify how you want that to go, how you want the coloring to go. So let's get back to the templates. So now when you're creating consistent content, you want to ensure that, again, you're using your brand style guide to make sure that everything looks seamless, like they all belong in the same family, so on and so forth. So you'll see here, these are pre-made templates um, that I tweaked to fit my faux brand templates that I designed myself, by the way, which will also be in our shop. Hopefully sooner than later. Please bear with me. I'm working on it. But you'll see here, so we have a brand image in the background, our fonts, and then you'll see we'll have our brand mark to help people identify that this image belongs to our business or to our brand. Now, this is what the original looked like that we manipulated. Now, another one, we use that same brand photo only because I didn't have time to go and search for everything, but We used our brand photo, same font, again, the brand mark, but then we brought in our brand pattern. Now, a lot of times, again, you guys sometimes go just for the main logo and you don't think about developing a full brand identity suite. Now, the great thing about suites is that you get so many different elements that help you tie everything together. And when things are tied together, it gives you more options. Now, if you lack options, it makes it harder for you to really like do your best work. So if you don't have a pattern, for example, you wouldn't be able to add a border like you see on the screen right now, right? So having a pattern which would match the product pattern or the label on the products, it helps to tie everything in. And again, that whole family concept, everyone belongs together. They all have the same last name, for lack of a better example. But it just shows that part A goes with part B and part C and part D. It doesn't matter how it appears, but all of those things go together because there's cohesion amongst them or consistency amongst them. Now, we use the same thing to make, a different background color, but again, you just see the elements throughout the template from the pale pink to the pattern to the fonts to the brand photography, the brand marks, the icons that are within the pattern, so on and so forth. Then you have again, so with a lot of the brand photography, you'll see a particular tint. Like they're not just bright photos, they're a little bit dimmed, a little bit dark, again, to fit the theme of the brand. So you're further incorporating that into the graphics that you're creating for your business based on how your brand suite is configured. Then here you see the icon, which is whatchamacallit, it's a little bit transparent. You see the logo here. Instead of using the brand mark, we use the full logo, but it's also transparent a bit. I know typically when you receive like your brand guidelines, when you have a full identity suite, your designer is going to tell you not to do certain things to your logo. And I've actually done that in the past because I thought that was just, the industry standard. But, sometimes they don't want you to make the logo transparent. They don't want you to turn it on its side. They don't want you to rotate it or I understand not stretching it out. That one I totally understand. But some of these rules they have, I'm not completely sure why just yet, but when it comes to design, I see the benefit of manipulating the logo in ways that, sometimes you don't think of. And I believe it adds another edge because, for example, if this transparency was, all the way, I mean, it works, but I don't want everyone's attention to be on my logo. I want it to be on the text that is the in the graphic. And that's a design thing where if something is fully translucent, it garners attention more than something that's transparent. And so I still like to play around with logos, even though some people may differ in opinion. But again, that's just my thing, right? So again, we're still using the same elements throughout the colors, the fonts, the icons, the logo, the imagery, and the tint of things. Again, that's how you build some cohesion within your content or your visual content. Again, we're using photography, fonts, the colors. Here we put the logo underneath instead of the brand mark. You see the background color. And then here we incorporated the wine. So we put our product here. You see our pattern fully behind, but because no one would see text over the pattern, we put, the white banner and then put our fonts there along with our logo once more to reiterate that this belongs to Hangover. Now here you see a lot more white space. You see our brand mark, which is a bit more transparent, but in the background, then you see our product and then one of our icons here that matches the product. So again, if you only had just your logo, you would be a little bit more limited in what you could do in some of these designs, right? But because we have a full suite, it gives us variety that we can work with. Again, we have our products here. We have a canned product and then our wine, an icon, the matching icon, and then some text, right? Same here, just took out that box and moved the text to the side a little bit more. This could serve as a great ad. It's not crowded, it's not cluttered with text. It's very simple, clean, and to the point, right? Or, if it was words that we can understand, it would be to the point. But yeah, so when it comes to creating your content and um making sure that things align with your brand, definitely setting up your brand style guide, your brand voice guide, and having an overall strategy to understand. I'm going to go over it again to one, understand the type of content to post, what your pillars or topics are, your audience, what their desires, problems, and frustrations are, and then again your voice, and then your visual, your style guide, and all of that. All of those things play a great part in alignment, because if they're all on the same page, then that's the only way to be aligned, right? And so I hope that this was an amazing video for you. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop them down below. And do not forget to take your Brand Vitals assessment. That is step number 1. All right, that's going to help you identify exactly where in your strategy you need to work on. And then it allows everything else to flow a bit more seamlessly because you have clearer direction. So I'm going to pop that commercial for you guys one more time, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye. You're doing all the things: posting content, updating your website, running ads, tweaking your offers, but still wondering, why isn't this working? Truth is, you might be focusing on areas that look productive, but aren't actually moving the needle. The Brand Vitals assessment helps you stop guessing and start targeting. It's like a wellness checkup, but for your brand. You'll gain crystal clear insight into the 9 essential areas every brand needs to thrive. No fluff, no filler, just facts about where your brand stands and what needs your focus. Because clarity is the first step to real momentum. And when you know where to focus, you start to see progress, not just activity. Get out of busy work. Get into brand building that actually works. Take the Brand Vitals assessment now. Have you tapped into your Firmacy benefits? As a beneficiary, you unlock special offers, gifts, and always stay in the loop. Subscribe today to receive your exclusive dose. Visit firmacybenefits.com.